think we might be a little early on the hour. Let me see. Yeah, we're about 2 minutes early, but that's okay. Hi. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm not going to do anything too important or anything until we actually get to the 5:30 mark, because I said 5:30. I always say 5:30, and just because I'm a little early doesn't mean that other people should miss out. So we're gonna give it a minute or so, and I'm gonna keep like prepping while people file in. I've been cleaning up the workspace. Hey, Chris, welcome to the live. Been cleaning up the workspace, and I'm also trying to kind of at the same time figure out why this particular camera mount, hey Vinny, is a little wobbly. So just doing a little bit of shop maintenance here while we wait for everybody to show up. It's going great, Chris. Thank you for asking. I hope you're doing well. It's been a crazy week, to say the least. Honestly, a crazy 2 weeks. If anybody follows my personal page, you'll see that we opened a big event for my job, my day job. Hi, Don. Don, I miss you so much, dude. Thank you for stopping by and watching the stream. Yeah, so for my day job, I work in themed entertainment. I am a technical director for Paramount Studios, and we have been working in collaboration with Universal Studios in Hollywood, the actual theme park, on this big Star Trek thing for their Universal Fan Fest Nights, which is a new ticketed event that they're doing similar to Halloween Horror Nights, if you've ever heard about that. But instead of it being scary, it's nerdy. And so we licensed Star Trek to them for that, and it has been a really fun experience working on that. And we just opened, not this past weekend, the weekend before. And I'm taking friends this coming weekend, so that's all very exciting. And I got to meet some great stars of Star Wars or Star Trek. I got Star Wars on my mind because today is May the 4th. May the 4th, obviously, is Star Wars Day. May the Force and the 4th be with you. But yes, Star Wars has been on my mind, but I've been working for Star Trek. And I got to meet some of the stars of various Star Trek things. I got to meet LeVar Burton, who is a total hero of mine between his role as Geordi LaForge on Star Trek and Reading Rainbow and being a USC alumni. I love LeVar Burton. And I met Jerry O'Connell and Eugene Cordero and Tawny Newsome and a bunch of amazing Star Trek folks. Trying to think if I'm missing anybody, but there was a couple of kids there from a new show that's coming out that hasn't premiered yet. So they were very cool. And I've worked alongside celebrities for a big portion of my career. I used to work for Tyra Banks. I don't know if anybody knows that. I used to work for Tyra Banks, and she's great. So I've been around celebrities a lot, but it was very cool for them to come to our opening night and be as excited as we were about it. And the Star Trek family really is a family. The actors really have a community there. And not just them, but the writers and the showrunners and people who were there also, which was very, very cool. So that's what's been up with me. In addition, I was debating on if I was going to do like an Instagram post about this, but I think I'm going to soft launch my news with you guys. So let's go on a field trip since there's 9 people here. So real quick, let me tell you what we're doing today. Got this amazing new Collet chuck. This is the new Collet chuck from Stainless Bottle Stoppers. We are, we got this to try out to see if we wanted to carry it. I definitely want to carry it, so I owe Dan a message to talk about that. But we're going to really put it through its paces today. We're going to do some drilling, some turning, and really see how it keeps up. But I have I have some news. And please don't mind how much of disarray the shop is in right now because of this news, okay? So, I'm going to show you what's going on first. So, if anybody has seen this room before, you'll know that this used to be where we stored blanks. And then at some point we put our hempwood storage here, and the blanks moved to a spare room that we had. And this bench is where my 24 by 24 inch CNC was. And if you recognize any of the tools on the bench, you might have an idea of where I'm going with this, because we've been cleaning out this entire room, because I'm going to have to blow a hole in this wall and put in a garage door. And the reason I'm going to have to do that is because of this new machine that we got, which is currently under my carport until I get that hole in the wall. This is a Tormach 1100M. It is a CNC milling machine, and it has a 4th axis. So that's very exciting, and it is only very lightly used, which is also exciting, because it meant that we got a good deal on it. And yeah, so this will be making all kinds of tools and other fun stuff in the near future. But that's not all, because behind door number 2 is a CNC lathe. That's right. So we just got the Tormach 15L Slant Pro. If you guys follow Jonathan Brooks or Sean Newton, or is it Sean Newton? Yeah, I think it's Sean Newton, or any of those guys, they all have this same CNC lathe. And then John Greco has a similar one. He has the 8L, I believe. So this will be able to make some of our pen parts, not all of them. We have a friend with we have a new machinist. He's become a friend. He's great. And he is going to be doing the vast majority of the pen kits. But stuff like this is going to be able to allow us to run the cap inserts here and other things that don't need a $2,500 lathe, which is what our friend has, our new machinist. He's got a big boy CNC lathe, the $2,500 one. I'm sorry, that's $250,000 one. $250,000 on his lathe. It's a Citizen CNC Swiss lathe, and it's a beast of a machine. It's insane. So obviously that's going to, shopping stuff out to him is going to be like the vast majority of the kits moving forward. But for stuff like the Delrin, for prototyping new kits, for new tools and other things that we've been working on, these new machines are going to, whew. Yeah, I know, Myra, I just, numbers, and I'm dyslexic, so like I get my zeros mixed up. Yes, $250,000 is what our friend's machine costs. These don't cost anywhere near that. Sorry, I'm reading the comments. On top of that, we obviously didn't pay full price for them because they're lightly used, which is even better. But we're very, very excited about that, and it has definitely been a whirlwind of a week getting these machines here, doing the demolition on the room next door where they're gonna go, and hopefully by next weekend they'll be in. We'll see. Wish me luck, as I have to blow a hole in the wall of my shop, and put in a header and all the other fun things that come with adding a door to a wall that there's not a door in. So that is that's where we're at with that. Lots of big exciting things for the shop, and yeah, like I said, I wasn't necessarily planning on showing you guys that tonight, but I am excited, and I hope you're excited too. It means big things for Bullseye, and it means that we're just going to be able to keep growing and get bigger and better and offer you guys more stuff. So, super stoked about that. So that's kind of like our soft launch on that. I'll do an official post about it later, but probably not until it's in the room, because obviously it's under the carport right now just to get it out of the weather, because we had to take delivery of it before we were ready with the room. So it's going to be a thing. And I'm going to have to rent a pallet jack to get them in the room. So that's a thing. Back to business. We're going to be really trying out... Thank you so much, Myra. Thank you all for the excitement. It means a lot. So we're going to be putting this new Collet chuck through its paces today. I want to start off with... oh, thanks, Vinny. With just a couple of, like, first thoughts. I haven't used this much yet. I really wanted to get my first impressions out with you guys. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So first thoughts, this is my Beal Collet chuck, which is what I've been using. And obviously because my shop is not super well climate controlled, this has a lot of rust damage on it. This is either, I don't think it's powder coated. I think it's actually like what's it called? Like a bluing process like you do on a gun. Which will help with like it not rusting, which is awesome. First impression is that it is quite a bit longer than the Beal, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm never really doing long work with a Collet chuck. And this isn't screwed in all the way, but that's like my first impression of this. The other thing is that the Beal, the hole goes all the way through. This one, it doesn't. So see it actually is closed in there, which I really like because it'll stop any like schmutz from getting into the headstock if we're drilling or doing whatever. So that's actually really nice. I really like that right off the bat. Full disclosure, I did not pay for this. This is a trial for us so that I can see if we want to carry it. So they did comp this for me. It came with the ER wrench, which is great. That'll allow me to tighten that down and really crank it down if I need to. But on the Beal, I can typically get a good enough grip on it by hand without the wrench. And I've only really ever needed the wrench to get it undone, not to lock it. So with all of those things being said, I have this blank cut for... Actually, I have two blanks cut. So this blank is cut for an Apollo. I do think it's going to be a hair on the short side, so we might have to do a center band on this. But we will find out. So, I guess without further ado, we should just see how it works. So, the one thing with this particular, this is not about the Collet chuck itself, it's about the collet in there, is that it's just barely the right size for this size blank. So I think, so that's just hand tight. It seems to have a pretty good grip on it. So that's good. That's good right off the bat. And let's see. So first we're going to face off this edge so that we can have a nice squared surface for drilling. So let's go ahead and get that done real quick. So far, so good. It's looking great, and I really like this blank. So, I think we can go ahead and move on. Sorry, I need to grab my drill bits, because I didn't pull them yet. So, if you haven't done the Apollo before, it comes with these nifty instructions that I painstakingly made in Photoshop. The drills are all up here, as well as the instructions and the layout and what each part is called, etc. And then a little thing about what we do. Also, if you have an old I don't want to say old Apollo. So if you have an American-made Apollo kit that you got before we sent these instructions out and you need a couple instruction booklets, let me know. We also have them for the Artemis. So if you need Apollo or Artemis instruction booklets, these instructions are on the website in a more like PDF printable friendly version. But if you need a couple extra booklets, let me know. And I can send those out to you via snail mail. So we're going to start with, I'm going to do an experiment on this one, actually. So I always say start with the 1/4" drill bit. I'm actually going to do the whole depth at the 21/64 and see how that turns out. Mostly, the reason we do all the different drill bits is so that you have more meat on the bone as you're turning. But if there's any place to experiment, it's on the live stream. Am I right? So let me just find my drill bit real quick, because I've got everything out right now, which is honestly a big pain in the Badinsky. I am planning on doing a rollerball. But the other thing is that these kits, you know, if you drill them, you know, to the instructions and everything, and it's a rollerball, and then somebody goes, oh, I love it, but I'd like it to be a fountain pen, you can just switch the section on it and, you know, switch that nose cone out from a rollerball to a fountain, or a fountain to a rollerball. And you know, it's a convertible pen in that way. Alrighty. Sorry, I'm just off camera with my tailstock. Alrighty. I'm going to set the lathe to about 1100 RPM. That's kind of my sweet spot. Let me get you guys a little bit of a better angle. There you go. How's that? As you can see, I marked the bit with a Sharpie so that I knew how far to drill. And now I need a 23/64, which hopefully I also have handy. Yeah. And so on this one, you're drilling that depth right there. I hope that makes sense. So far, the Collet chuck seems to be running incredibly true, which is great. Excellent. So that was just hand tight, and it held pretty dang well. I mean, oh geez, almost too well? Question mark. I do think that this blank might be flared slightly at the bottom. Just tapping all that excess swarf out of there. And then one of the things that, let me flip you guys around. Hi. Hi. So, one of the things that I saw recently, and it might have been Jess. I don't remember who posted it. I think it was Jess. Actually marked the outside of their blank with their drill length, which I thought was really smart. So I'm going to do that now because I'm a little afraid that these blanks might be too short. So what I've done is I've stuck this end of my caliper all the way down there. And then we're going to swoop. And now we can see that's how much extra we have on the end. And now I can mark that, which I'm going to do over here at the bench because it's easier. So excuse me real quick. So now I know that that is how much length I have to play with. And so when I engage my tailstock on this end, I probably will want to use a piece of scrap on the end, a little sacrificial block, so that way I'm not trimming off too much of the end. And this is actually going to be a lot more important on the cap blank of this particular set, because the reason this blank never made it into circulation is because it was under 6 inches, and we try to only sell 6-inch blanks. This one was like 5 3/4, so it was close, but no cigar, you know what I mean? Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades over here. So so I am slightly worried that the cap is going to be too long. Why does this look like an Artemis cap in here? Hold, please. Hold, please. Oh, that's because it is an Artemis cap, and I am drilling for an Apollo. How silly of me. Okay, stand by while I find us an Apollo kit in my crap. Alright, so let's just double check this real quick. I can't believe I grabbed an Artemis and then drilled for an Apollo. Ask me how many times I've done that. A lot is the answer. It's a whole lot. So, do I have a cap readily available? Okay, I'm going to steal the cap from this brass kit real quick, just so I don't have to run inside and grab one. But the cap will tell us also like how far we have to drill. And so as you can see, we're not going to have a whole lot of meat to play with on the end of this one either. I think we're probably going to be able to get away without a center band, but honestly, I don't want to risk it. It really feels like we should just do the center band. So why not? Let's just do it. So I'm gonna put this back in the collet chuck, and I do still have to face off the front of it, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently on this because I want to make sure that that this is super, super square to the drilling surface. And so I'm actually going to use this woodpecker's end mill. I don't love using this thing, to be honest. I think it's kind of sketchy, but it is the best tool I have for this particular application. So we're going to just square that off real quick. All right, beautiful. So this does leave a little bit of a little circle there from where the reamer would normally be, so we can just turn that part off without touching the rest. And I'll use a round carbide for that. because we don't need a good glue surface there because we're going to drill through that. All right. So real quick, I'm just going to hit that with some isopropyl alcohol to clean it so that we get a nice glue surface between that and the blank we're going to glue to it, which I have not picked out yet. So let's figure something out. Let's see. I think we're going to have to go probably with something white, I think. Let's see what we got. Sorry, I was reading comments once again. Okay, so this is kind of my stash. I would love to use something mostly white. No, that's not going to work. I could also go with black. This is Diamond Cast Indigo, so that's kind of more of a purple. Sorry, there you go. Yeah. Should really dust over here. It's getting a little... Whoop. Oops. Yeah, it's getting a little out of hand over here. I really need just, like, plain old white, which I don't seem to have. But I'm wondering... So, here's what I do have. I have silver. Silver might be cool. Silver might be very cool, actually. I'm trying to see if I have a better one. Or black. So, I don't have white, unfortunately. But I have silver and I have black. So why don't you guys take a vote? And I actually have a little black offcut. And these are pretty sparkly. These are some old Braxton Frankenberry blanks from when he was still selling his blanks, and they're his liquid metal. This is just the liquid metal without pigment, which is amazing. And then this is the black liquid metal. So you think, I mean, honestly, I think it would be a lot better if it was white, because there isn't any black in this blank. It's all blues and whites. But a little contrast never hurt anybody. What do you guys think? I also have plain black. So if you guys think like this, like super sparkly black versus plain black, like a flat black, that might work as well. Let's see. These are all my like super secret stash blanks that we got going on in here. Various half-done projects. What are we thinking? Let's see. Okay, so we got one vote for silver and one vote for black, and there's 14 of you here, so the chat's got to speak up a little bit between the silver and the black. Unless I can find... I'm trying to think if I have anything white anywhere, and I really don't think I do. But I'm going to keep looking for just a few seconds while you guys vote, because if I can find white, that's the clear winner. I just don't think I have anything that's pure white. I have some like off-white ivory kind of color. What do we think about this? I think it's a little too warm of a white. What do we think? Doesn't really match, right? Yeah, it's way too warm. Because this was like an ivory kind of color. Yeah, that ain't gonna do. That ain't gonna do. Alright, we got silver, silver, silver. Joe, I don't have gold. Thank you, though. So it looks like, I mean, it's close, but I think silver wins by a hair. So let's go ahead and cut a little piece off of this silver. And I'm really just gonna cut like a little nubbin off of it. So this is a pretty crazy blank, but it's really beautiful. You can actually see how dense the color is. It almost looks black in the cross section. I'm actually gonna. There's like this tiny little sliver that's left from the chop saw that I'm just gonna break off. And actually, this side is flatter, so we're gonna glue that side on. Let me get my alcohol once again. And yeah, we're just gonna take our denatured alcohol and make sure that that is nice and clean so that we get a really nice adhesion. So typically, I am a fan of using epoxy for stuff like this. I think that CA is not our friend in this particular case, but plenty of people do segmenting with CA, so let's trust them on this. And I'm actually going to use this new, like, just regular gel that I have, gel CA, gel glue, because I think it'll help hold it on there. So, got plenty of it on there. And we're just going to smush it more or less centered. Yeah, that stuff cures so fast. That's awesome. So now we're going to have to square this side off. And to be honest, I think that this is way too thick. I think that it needs to be way thinner than that. So let's go ahead and do that now. Let's see if we can. There you go. Let me plug it back in so that that's not dangling. All right. It does not matter that these are not centered to each other because we'll fix that later when we actually turn it. So, as I'm thinking about this, I think that I want this to be about 1/4 of an inch thick. So let's just go ahead and mark that. So I'm just going to pull this. Seems to be a good amount for a center band. And if it's a little thinner, I think we'll be all right. So we will go ahead and mark that, and that's going to be our line. All right. That looks great. And I think that that's a way better amount of accent band. And then I also think the silver will look nice with the the steel hardware, you know, when you open the pen. So, because we have this little guy here, I am, ooh, sorry about that. That was awful. I am going to use a center drill to make sure that we get a perfect center starting point for our drilling operation, and we're going to turn the lathe back down to that 1100 number. When you're using a center drill, you do want to make sure that you're only drilling about 3/4 of the way up this flared part. If you go past that, it actually doesn't help you any with your drilling operation. So, for our cap, the first bit we need is a 3/8 bit. So let me grab that real fast. Oh, I remember. I couldn't find it because I ruined my 1/3 and I'm using a different one than I'm used to. So here's our 3/8. This is a Collet parabolic bit, which is not normally what I use for these particular pens. I typically save these bits for something not closed in that I'm actually going to drill all the way through. But I completely destroyed my other 3/8 bit, and so I actually shouldn't have done this center drill because it's got its own kind of starting point, but that's okay. We will make it work. And that silver seems to be holding just fine. There we go. Beautiful. And then the other bit for our cap is a 29/64. Which I can't find for some reason. Let me see if I actually put it back. That would be crazy of me. No, it's not there either. What am I, nuts? Pardon our technical difficulties as I find the right drill bit. Jeez, zoo. Okay, hang tight. Oh, this has to be it. Yeah. I found it. Hey, Pimey, we're doing an Apollo. Okay, cool. Sorry, it was buried in all the shavings. But here's our 29/64s. We're going to go to the second line. I don't have any idea what that first line is for anymore. Oh, let me back this tailstock up a little bit. All right. Alrighty. That is awesome. So, this should be good as gold now. Ooh. And that actually looks like it came out pretty nice. Fish makes fine bits. I don't have any problem with fish bits. I like the Collet bits for drilling all the way through, mostly because they stay sharp really long, and yeah, that's about it. I mean, I've just had really good luck with them, but these other bits that you see me using, These are just Harbor Freight. There's nothing special about them. One thing I do want to mention, though, that I definitely screwed up is this bit came loose on that last drilling operation. I don't know what happened, but my hole is very much elongated and not round. So, as you can see, we have a whole lot of slop in there because that bit came loose. Which means that when I go to put this guy in, well, maybe. Yeah, Colt. What is happening down in there? This is actually very odd. What is going on? That's not... Hang on one second. I'm wondering if this cap is messed up. Oh, doy. Sorry, I was trying to fit an Artemis cap into an Apollo hole because I still had that Artemis cap out from earlier. So, no wonder it didn't fit. But now I can't find where I put that Apollo cap because I'm a hot mess. This is honestly the best example I can give of why keeping your workspace clean is so important. I definitely get distracted when I'm on the live streams because I'm talking to you guys, I'm doing stuff, whatever. But my shop is a mess. And that is certainly not helping. Okay. So, now we can double check this now that I have found an Apollo cap. So yeah, this is not going to work. As you can see, I don't know if you can see. See how big of an elongated hole that is? That's no bueno. That is certainly not good. And if I just put this end in, you can see that is way, way too loose of a fit because that bit came loose. So, there's a couple different ways we can fix this. But I think that the easiest way is to abandon this plan and re-drill this for an Artemis. Because I truly think that that's probably... yeah, Myra, if you have good bits, I would not be leaving them there. I know you use a community wood shop. I would not be leaving that shit. I would have a little toolbox that I bring in with my good stuff, and that's my stuff. Like, I would not let other people use my stuff to use and abuse. That's just not, I mean, that's so not cool. They should be replacing your stuff if they ruin it, you know? That being said, we're going to take this Apollo set and chuck it, because now we're going to turn this into an Artemis instead of an Apollo. Woohoo! It is the one benefit of them being similar enough and only having a difference in drill bits. So, I'm looking for my bit size. Okay, so we're going to go to a 1/2 inch bit. Yeah, plan B. You know, I had a woodworking teacher, or I had a, I'm not formally woodworking trained. I learned most of this stuff by being in theater and learning through my stagecraft type classes. And I had a teacher who always said that that being a carpenter, and this definitely translates to woodworking, is 20% skill and 80% learning how to hide your mistakes. And this is one of those times. So, let's hide our mistakes. So now we've got a 1/2 inch bit in here, and we're going to widen this up so that we can use this as an Artemis instead of an Apollo. And then we will have to re-drill the inner hole, but it's going to be easier to start here. So. All right. That is beautiful. And so next we're going to need the 27/64, which is going to replace the one that we did at 3/8 earlier. And I thought I had my 27/64 out, but it looks like I don't. So let me grab that. All right. And fortunately, this is already marked because I use this one all the time for Artemis kits. And then let's go ahead and bring this back further. All right. Everything's tightened up. All right. Before we go any further, I want to make sure that this fits with that Apollo cap. So, for reference, this is our Apollo cap, and we are basically in the same boat that we were in before. We're definitely going to have to use a piece of scrap, but we have a way better fit. Wow, that is significantly better. So, that is fantastic news. But now we have to re-drill the body to match. So, let's go ahead and get that in. The good news about the body is that we don't have to redo the depth or the width of that first drill bit. We only have to widen this hole to accommodate the Artemis body insert. So that's going to be 10 millimeters, which I also don't have out. So many bits. So many bits. Who designed these things? It was me. Sorry. It's me. Where's my 10 millimeter? Where's my 10 millimeter? I just bought a brand new one. There we go. Okay, cool. So, I'm going to grab, this is our Artemis body insert, and as you can see, this is already marked with a Sharpie. I like to double check just because I'm always drilling different things. So, now we can just elongate this guy. There we go. Beautiful. All right. So, I think we should be back on track now. Yeah, being able to, and sometimes it's not hiding your mistakes, sometimes it's a pivot, right? Like, this is a pivot. This isn't really hiding a mistake. This is 100% a pivot. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I've had several situations like this where the final product came out better because of this kind of change. So, you know, it is what it is, and that's all right. What I am going to do is make sure that I take these Apollo caps and parts and put them aside so that I don't get confused. And we're going to go ahead and glue this up here in a moment. But one of the things I want to do real quick, if you guys will indulge me, is I actually want to drill this one out as well. This is one that's like half in progress. I've already drilled the cap, but if we're going to be gluing up one, we might as well glue up two. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to drill that real fast, and I can answer any questions since you guys already just saw me drill. I can't imagine that you want to watch me do it again, but you know, while we're going, I figure I can answer any questions, comments, concerns type things. Sorry, my chuck key will not go in this chuck for some reason. Okay, there we go. And of course, we had to switch. No, it will not hold a square blank. That's a great question. I had to switch to the pen jaws for the square blank. So, yeah, it's the benefit of the Collet chuck is that you get perfectly concentric stuff every time, and you can re-chuck it without nearly as much of a slop or differential, where I wouldn't want to re-chuck this. You know, after taking it out, I would want to leave it in there as long as possible. So let's get that 10 millimeter back out since we just had it. And we'll just do this one first. It really does... Oh, sorry. I also need to trim the edge of this so that it's square. So let me do that first. I forgot. There's something very wrong. That was not lovely. Okay, I think we fixed it. There was schmutz. Alright, so now we got a flat surface. Oh god, I gotta wax this. That was awful, I'm so sorry. I will be waxing this after we are done with just some paste wax so that it stops making that screeching noise. It's awful. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing. We need our 21/64 drill bit back. And we need to go to the closer mark on this one because it's an Apollo. I mean, because it's an Artemis. I went a little deep, but that's okay. Alrighty. So now we can glue both of these up at the same time, because I really strongly prefer to glue more than one at once. Also, always take your chuck key out. So let's get you guys moved over to the other bench. Whee! Okay, sorry about all my crap. I clearly had to dig through all of my bits to get the right ones. So, you know, do as I say, not as I do. You know what? You know, folks? So we have one Apollo insert there. We definitely want a second one in steel. I'm sorry, Artemis. I keep saying Apollo because that was my intention tonight. And I keep forgetting that we switched to the Artemis. So let me grab another Artemis out of my little like secret stash up here and see if we have another steel one out here. I don't know if we do. But this one should definitely be steel. So I might have to run inside and pull one from stock. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like I only have Apollos out here. That's crazy. Why would I do that to myself? Oh, wait. No, here's one. But this one's got... Okay, that's fine. So... Here's another one. And this one is actually Damascus engraved, which isn't really on the body insert, but you can kind of see like it barely, but I can probably buff that out. But it just means I want to make sure that this one goes in here. Why does that feel so loose? That's because that is an Apollo. Gosh, my workbench is a mess. Why does this keep happening to me? It was an Apollo body insert with an Artemis section. It's probably because I cleaned up and I just put stuff in bags and it didn't belong in that bag. But that's why we do a test fit, right? So these are our two body blanks. These are our two cap blanks. These are our body inserts. This is our epoxy mixing station. And a couple of popsicle sticks, and a couple of Q-tips, and I need a thing of epoxy. This is definitely one of those days where, like, best laid plans don't actually work out, because I had to pull epoxy from up on the shelf. So that's going to have to come out of stock. But that's okay. And then I just want to get a glove. Because I make a mess when I do this kind of stuff. Oh, Nancy, please. I actually cleaned up before we started. Isn't that the worst? I cleaned up in the 15 minutes before we started this, before we started the stream. Sorry, I'm reading comments. Yeah, I agree, Myra. I think that this collet is really nice because you can get it hand tight. It does come with a wrench, but I don't really feel like it's super needed. I actually don't know what this Jacob's chuck is called, but it's a keyless Jacob's chuck. Again, I like that you can just tighten it by hand. I believe I got it from Turner's Warehouse or maybe Speakeasy. I think they both sell it. Let's see. I don't know about the square collets. That's crazy. My cap inserts. I don't know where my cap inserts are. And here's one. There's one. I don't know where the other one is, to be honest with you, but we're going to glue the bodies first. Because I'll explain it as we go, but basically, if you glue the body first and you let that cure, Then you can screw the cap onto that. And then, because the body insert won't turn anymore, then you can line up your grain. So I'm actually not going to be gluing the caps right now. I'm only going to be gluing the bodies. So at some point over the next day or so, here's another. Nope, that's an Apollo. Dang it. But yeah, over the next couple of days when I find time to do the caps, because we'll turn both of these next week, I will glue the caps after these two bodies are done curing. And I just need to real quick poke a hole in this epoxy because it has been sitting for a minute. So this is one of those things that sort of like a tip and a trick. This side of the epoxy sometimes cures if you haven't used it in a while. It doesn't like cure, that's not really the right word. It like kind of just gets thick. If you've ever cast Alumilite or honestly any two-part epoxy, you'll know that it's usually the B side will get like really thick after a while. And JB Weld is no exception. It does the exact same thing. And so sometimes it'll like plug up in the nozzle and you just kind of have to poke it with an awl. An awl or an ice pick. This is a Jimmy DiResta ice pick if anybody follows Jimmy. Big fan of his work. He does great stuff. So, and I love his podcast with Dave Picciuto and Bob Claggett. It's called Making It, and I have been listening to their podcast basically since they started. I've listened to every episode, so they are great. Brian. What am I gonna do with you? Brian made me a present, and I'm very excited to show it to you guys. Hopefully next week, on next week's stream. So, I'm just gonna cut a popsicle stick in half real quick, so that I can get some epoxy on the inside here. And then what I'll do is smear that because we want plenty of coverage. We just don't want so much that it plugs up in there, which is fixable, but it's annoying. So then I'm just going to twist. And then once I get to this point, which is it's not all the way in yet, I'm going to take my Q-tip and just clean that up and get as much off of there as I can, because the squeeze out cleans up a lot easier before it's cured. And then I like to take a quick grip and because epoxy tends to expand a little bit as it cures, and that'll just make sure that it stays where we want it to stay. So I'm gonna just put that over there for right now. I actually don't know where my other, I typically keep two quick grips here for glue ups, but I can't find the other one, so that's weird. I'm gonna have to go grab one. But while we have wet epoxy, let's keep on keeping on. And I clearly poured out way more epoxy than I needed. We had that little air bubble bloop out of it, so it kind of made a mess. And then I'm just going to I don't know if you guys can see, I like got way too much schmutz on the end here, so I'm going to just kind of clean it off and try and make sure I don't get any on the inside, which I definitely did. But again, our Q-tip to the rescue. And I think we're going to need some more Q-tips, so I cannot stress enough how important Q-tips are in the shop. They are the unsung heroes of glue ups and cleanups and maintenance and everything else. Beautiful. Let me get a clamp real quick. Yeah, this one will work. This one's not ideal, but it'll do. It'll certainly do. I just prefer the squeeze clamp as opposed to the F clamp for this particular application. Just because it makes my life a little easier. We talk about tacos? I want tacos. Who's going for tacos? Alright, so I have those set and ready, and that makes a stream. Had them last night, they were leftovers. Ooh, tacos! Nice. Hey, Brian, tell your family I said hi, I love them. They are super great people. So, at some point in maybe later tonight, I will get these glued up for our caps, and then next week we can turn these and we'll have a beautiful blank with the with this nice little Divine Turnings Braxton Frankenberry accent band, and this guy, which was just an overpour of some other stuff, but came out pretty cool. So apparently I have to take Joe to get tacos now, and hope you guys are excited about the new machines. The main reason I wanted to tell you was because I knew they were going to be in the background and somebody would be like, what is that? So yeah, as always, I love you guys. BullseyeTurningSupply.com is the website. You can get all of your kits, blanks, merch, whatever, ink, there. And, yeah, I guess I'll see you on the next one. I hope everybody has a great week. Oh, wait, next weekend is Mother's Day. So next weekend is Mother's Day. I will let you know if we're doing a stream or not. I'm going to lean towards no, but I will find out my schedule from my mother and let you know. And yeah, Brian, I'll send you pictures. Don't worry. You missed it at the beginning. All right. Bye, guys.